Hi everyone! If you're new, hi, my name is Sue. If you're returning, welcome back. So, as you can tell from my title, it has been exactly 1 year since I became a nurse and have been working at University Hospital as a trauma med-surg RN. And I just wanted to recap with you guys on how this process has been and what's been going on and answer any questions that you guys may have. So this year I learned a lot on my trauma med-surg floor, and I just can't help but think that it's only been a year. I feel so comfortable on my floor and I just love the coworkers that I work with, and literally after orientation and a couple months of being on your own, it literally feels so natural to me, and I really hope that it's going to be the same for you if you're thinking about pursuing the nursing career, or if you're a new grad, or you're trying to find a job. But yeah, so last time I recapped with you, I was talking to you guys about the orientation, the preceptorship, and how it's been going so far. Since then, I would say not much has changed. I'm finally on my own. No one has died. I haven't killed anyone yet, thank God. What I really do on a day-to-day is I wake up at 6 in the morning, go in by 7, find out what my assignment is. Weirdly, on our floor, it doesn't matter how much experience you have. Like on my first day, well, my second full day off orientation by myself, I was a charge nurse, and charge nurse is someone who manages the floor secondhand to the nurse manager, and technically they are in charge of basically making sure that everyone gets their breaks, that the assignment is fair, that people who are supposed to be discharged are discharged, and those who are downgraded from the progressive care unit, which we have, the PCU, gets downgraded to the floor or sent to wherever they need to be. And if there's any questions or concerns from patients' families, or if anyone wants to talk to the charge nurse, I will be that. And for a new grad, it might be a lot, but personally for me, I thought it's not too horrible. Like for me, I think the hardest thing was maybe doing the assignments. So as charge nurse, you basically arrange who will be where on the floor and in the PCU. On my unit, there's 5 to 6 nurses total, 2 to 3 on the floor and 3 on the PCU. In the PCU, the ratio is 1 nurse to 4 patients, while on the floor, 1 nurse can have 6 to 9 patients. And yeah, so the charge nurse has to figure out and coordinate which nurse goes where. And after that, I just make sure that the narcotic counts are good, which is when we make sure all the controlled substances in our Pyxis machines are correct and that no one's stealing them and that the count is correct. And then after that, it's just really smooth sailing from there, unless, you know, there's a code and there's special assistance needed, so on and so forth. But yeah, so after I figure out if I'm the charge nurse or not, or count or not, I start off my day by getting a report from the night shift nurse. This could be very smooth or not, depending on who the night shift nurse is. You'll find out that depending on who the nurse is, they may or may not know anything about their patient, and whatever they tell you is completely incorrect, and you really need to double check. And so while you're getting report, try and make sure that everything's correct, why they came. Like for instance, since we're a trauma floor, we get a lot of pedestrian struck, car accidents, stab victims, assault victims, victim of violence, gunshot wounds, falls. Those patients will come to us. And so make sure that you know why they're there and what has happened and what surgeries took place and what surgeries will be taking place. It is alert oriented times 3, which means that they know who they are, where they are, and what the time and date is. That they actually do know, because I've had multiple patients where they're like, yeah, they're fine, but they're really not, and they don't know where they are, and they try to leave. Let's say they are confused, like I said, or let's say they fell off a building, not because they just fell, but because maybe they were attempting suicide. Those type of patients, we need to keep an extra eye on them, and it's up to the nurses and the doctors to determine if there needs to be a one-to-one, which just means auxiliary staff will come and watch the patient and make sure that nothing bad happens to them, or they run out or pull on their IVs or NG tubes or so on and so forth. So you really need to make sure that whatever report you're getting is verified by yourself. itself. So after getting why they're there, something else that I love to check upon is making sure if they can or cannot walk, because if they can walk, then we wouldn't need to help them get to the bathroom. But if they do need help, like let's say they got in a car crash and they broke both their legs, they obviously can't go anywhere, so we would have a bedpan, which is like a pan that goes underneath your butt to make sure you can pee or poop, or a urinal if you're a guy that just catches your pee, or if they're incontinent, which means they can't pee at all. And so we make sure that if there's any IVs and if they're dated, and if there's medication or fluids, we confirm that the correct fluid is there and the correct medication is there. If they even have a PCA machine, which is like a patient controlled medication where they get to actually push the button whenever they are in pain, that is set up correctly. You don't want to be giving out incorrect doses and basically flooding them with narcotics. I also like to know if certain labs have been drawn to make sure that lab counts are all within normal. Normally the night shift nurses do them, and most of the time unfortunately they aren't drawn, so the day shift nurse has to do it. And after getting all those major content during report, I usually sit down on my computer, make sure I didn't miss anything, go through what needs to be done, what medications need to be given, what tests need to be done, what I need to talk to the doctor about, and so on and so forth. After that, I go back, do my head-to-toe assessment that we learn in college, and examining their body for any further wounds, especially for those who can't get out of bed. There's a high probability that they get bed sores, so I gotta make sure that their butts are clean. There's no bed sores, no breakdown, no nothing. And if they are high risk, we do turn them every 2 hours to make sure that the chances of getting a bed sore is decreased. And then after doing that, I chart a lot. I try to get my charting done early in the morning because you do not know what happens later on. And then around like 9:30 we have rounds where we get to talk with staff like the social workers, doctors, physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech and swallow, you name it. Like we literally talk to everyone about updates, who's going home, why certain people aren't going home, what's preventing them from being discharged, and so on and so forth. And then after all that, it's really a day filled with just passing out meds, charting some more, speaking with the doctors, and just praying that no crisis happens. Because literally a couple of days ago, while one patient was pulling out his IV and saying he's gonna leave, another patient was fainting on the other side of the hallway. And then while this craziness is happening, someone needed the bedpan. It was a lot, but that's why you have auxiliary staff like CNAs, which are basically nursing assistants, as well as techs, who just help you out in situations of chaos like this. Luckily for me, I have not had a personal code as of yet. Other co-workers having codes where I got to participate and make sure that everything ran smoothly. I'll talk about more like codes and more about what to do in a crisis situation like that when I personally have more experience and can tell you guys more about that. Otherwise, that's pretty much it on my day-to-day. I definitely feel more prepared and more of a nurse than I did from the last video. A lot has changed. I actually did start my PCU clinical orientation, which is when I'm in the step down unit where the nurse ratio is 1:4, just because these patients are a little bit more critical than the patients on the floor. That's going well. Definitely just a lot more critical patients, a lot more drains, a lot more telemetry and cardiac monitoring, a lot more labs, and a lot more unstable patients. But I'll keep you guys updated on that. Otherwise, I also wanted to talk to you guys about nurses shortage and how there is a need. The reason why sometimes the floor nurses will have 9 patients is because a lot of these new nurses leave early. Like, I've had 3 nurses so far since I've worked, which is only a year, who left. And that really caused me as a new nurse to really struggle and have the burden of taking on so many patients, so many critical patients, like on the floor. And yes, it can get hard, but as a new grad, you really need to speak up for yourself, especially with the nursing assistants and the doctors. You really need to speak up for what you need and when you need help. I thought that's very important. And if you do get shut down, don't give up. Like, for me, even like some coworkers, not particularly on my shift, but on the night shift, like they can give you a lot of poop for certain things that's not really in your control. But if you know you're right, just stick by that. Talk to your manager if you ever feel like you're getting bullied, or if you feel like the older nurses are forcing you to do stuff and no one's helping you out, because that does happen. It is real life, and unfortunately as a new grad we get really eaten alive by the wolves. But when you're in that situation, just know that you shouldn't be scared to ask for help. I know it's easier said than done, but just really muster up the strength, because it's not just the nurses that you're in charge of. It's patients' lives you're handling. And let's be real, at the end of the day, we took an oath to help not just the patients, but one another as well. But yeah, so I know that was a lot, but I hope it helps, especially to new grads who just graduated or passed their NCLEX or trying to find a job. Congrats. Or even just those who are thinking about nursing as their profession or in nursing school. If you have any questions or concerns though, feel free to let me know and put in the comments section below. Otherwise, make sure you like and share with all your nursing friends or medical professional friends. Hope this helps. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.